How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
Eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital.
That's difficult to answer.
lastly, we ask that there be no recording or streaming of today's sessions from the floor. And any disruptive behavior in today's session will result in being removed from the call.
We please ask that there will be no recording or streaming of today's sessions from the floor. Any disruptive behavior today could result in being removed from the call. So, just be a nice person. So with a little housekeeping things out of the way, let's jump right in.
Again, we ask no recording or streaming of today's session.
We ask that there be no recording or streaming of today's session from the floor. Any disruptive behavior in today's session will result in being removed from the call.
Who the fuck is Karlyn? She's just some sweet lady. She's like in a knitting. She does like a knitting stream. She's like a knitting YouTuber. She does knitting.
Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Antifa has responded to Trump labeling them a terrorist organization. And I have an insanely busy schedule today. And so I thought I would go live early to talk about this because, guys, I've got a schedule today. We're going to have to start happy hour a little bit late today. I'm just going to warn everyone. There's a radio station in New York City that wants to interview me at 5 p.m. And so I'm going to have to do that. Kim Iverson wants to record an interview with me, like literally right after I get done this. Kim Iverson, like 5 minutes before I went live, Kim Iverson slides into my DMs and she's like, Karlyn, can you come on my show today? And I was like, well, Kim, I have to do breaking news with Antifa, okay? And then she's like, okay, you can come on after that. And so I was like, right after this, I'm going to be recording an interview with Kim Iverson, and I still have to go get beer for happy hour, and we're still going to do happy hour, and then I have to do an interview with a radio station in New York, and because I was on Fox News last night, and it was crazy. Because I was on Fox News last night and everyone is whining and it's so great. And like all the people that have been trying to destroy my work for years and years and years are whining and complaining and losing it on Twitter. It is so funny. Like, can I just say before we get into the breaking news on Antifa stuff, and maybe I'll talk more about this during happy hour when I have a drink or two, but like the losers are seething so bad on Twitter. It's so it's so funny too, because like the argument of my haters is everything she says is right, but I don't like her. This is their argument, guys. The literal argument of the people trying to destroy my work is everything she says is right, but I just don't like her. So please don't talk to her because I'm having feelings about you talking to her. That is the argument. So yeah, this is the haters right now. This is them. Cope and seethe, you uninformed losers. I won, you lost, all that. But we do have important business to talk about today, and I'm going to try to jump right into it. We're not going to do a whole lot of preamble. We are going to be reading today. So CrimethInc is the main publishing arm of Antifa. CrimethInc had a table at the anarchist book fair that I went undercover at over the weekend, but we read CrimethInc all the time because okay, so we've talked about how the left is not hierarchical, okay? The left has no hierarchy. So how do you have this mass kind of decentralized organization that has no hierarchy? How are they working together? How are they communicating with each other? Well, one of the ways in which the left communicates with each other is they use organizations like CrimethInc. CrimethInc publishes documents that then get read by all the different decentralized cells. They publish documents, they publish communiques, manifestos, they publish zines, they publish after action reports. They publish all sorts of stuff to basically communicate to the broader Antifa network nationwide. Here is what we're doing, and here is what the talking points are. And so if you read something on CrimethInc, chances are you're going to see those talking points and you're going to see that strategy showing up in the real world not long after you read it on CrimethInc. And so CrimethInc has been very nice and very generous to literally publish the entire plan that they have for dealing with Trump declaring them a terrorist organization. And you can see here, make ready, safeguarding our movements against repression, how to respond to Trump's threats. This is a rather long article that we are going to read, and we are going to go through it. And we are going to learn how Antifa is thinking about Trump declaring them a terrorist organization. And we are going to learn about the strategies that they're talking about, because again, this is how they communicate with each other. This is, well, listen, you guys have got to stop using this. This is not the own you think it is. It is very, very true that Antifa is not a real organization. And the Trump administration is going to have to figure that out. Because I know that in order to declare an organization a terrorist organization, you actually need to name that organization, and you need to have a credible, like, concern with that organization. And so they actually can't do that right now with Antifa, because Antifa is not a real organization. It's not. And you guys can keep saying this all you want, but this is reality. And I don't know how the Trump administration is going to get around this. They're going to have to come up with a plan. They're the ones who had the bright idea to do this in the first place without, hinging into reality with how the far left is organized. But Antifa is certainly listening to Trump, and Antifa is certainly responding to Trump. And no. Only retards think this. Only retards think that Trump is going to be able to cut off their funding. People in the chat who are not retarded, can you inform our new friend? I'm sure you're not a retard. I'm sure you're just new here. Can everyone inform our new friend why Antifa is not going to be able to, why Trump is not going to be able to cut off the funding of Antifa? Can someone explain in the chat why there is no way in this universe that Trump is going to be cutting off the funding of Antifa? Yeah, see, I actually have former Antifa people in my audience. They steal everything. They are funded by mutual aid. They're funded by mutual aid. So Trump, there is no way in this universe Trump is going to be able to cut off mutual aid funding, guys. It's just not going to work. That's not how they're self-funded by mutual aid. This is not funded by Soros. This is not funded by USAID. This is not funded by the CCP. When we are talking about Antifa, and Antifa specifically, they are funded by mutual aid, and mutual aid pretty exclusively. And so good luck, Trump, cutting off the funding for that. Now, there have been some people who've made the argument in the last day or so that maybe Trump could cut off the funding for the organizations that provide them legal support. I do actually think that's a valid argument to make. There are organizations, I talked about this extremely briefly on Fox News last night. There are organizations that do provide legal support to Antifa that I'm sure get funded from somewhere. And I don't know exactly how those organizations get funded, but Trump could absolutely go after the organizations that are providing Antifa with legal support. However, no one should be under the illusion that that is going to stop Antifa. Okay, no one should be under that illusion at all, because Antifa is still going to do what they're doing, because these are ideologues. This is part of their identity. This is part of who they are. They are willing to die for these ideas. So they might lose their legal support, and that's very true, and that's something that would hurt them, and that's certainly something that would slow them down. Absolutely, and Trump should fucking do that. Trump should absolutely and totally do that. But I don't want people to be under any illusion that Trump cutting off the legal support is going to stop the disruptive activity with the crime, with the vandalism, with the damage and all that stuff. I'm not under any illusion that that's going to happen. If I were to, I talked about this a little bit on the debrief stream after Fox News last night. If I were in charge, here is what I would do. If I were in charge and I didn't have to deal with the legal system at all, and I had a bajillion lawyers, here is what I would do to stop Antifa. Like the too long didn't read. I would classify anyone who shows up to any public protest in black bloc specifically, because we're going based on their behaviors. You can't identify them as part of an official organization in Antifa, but you can say, if you are showing up to a protest in black bloc with weapons or umbrellas or any sort of thing, we are going to designate you part of Antifa. And the minute that you show up to a protest or a public event in black bloc with a weapon or a fucking umbrella, we are going to arrest you. We are going to put you in jail, and you are going to sit there for a good long time. And I believe, like, treat Antifa the same as you treated the January 6th defendants, where they basically sit in jail forever. They sit in solitary confinement forever. The key is we have got to get them off the street, and we have got to prevent them from organizing with each other. That is the key. We have got to prevent them from fucking organizing, because it doesn't matter if Trump takes away their legal support. They're going to keep organizing. They're going to keep planning. They're going to keep plotting. They're going to keep doing all this stuff. And so put them in jail. and build a fucking giant wall around that jail and don't let them out unless you absolutely have to. And drag out the legal proceedings as long as you can. Keep those assholes in jail for as long as humanly possible. And then if you can charge them with crimes, charge them with as many crimes as you can. And again, keep them in jail as long as possible, because the minute those assholes get back out on the street is the minute they start organizing again. So if I were Trump, that's what I would do. Sadly, I'm not Trump. I'm a woman in New Hampshire that covers Antifa and other far left people. I have no influence over this stuff. But maybe now that I've been on Fox News, maybe people will listen, because God knows that's all that seems to matter. Anyway, I don't want to get too far into it, guys, because I do want to jump into this article and I do want to cover it because I do want to wrap up as quickly as I can. I want to remind people that if you want to support the work I'm doing and keep me in business, because I am 100% independently funded by people just like you. I am funded by normal people. I have no political funders. I have no political masters. I am not a part of any political tribe. I will never shill you a narrative. I will never shill you contrived talking points. Everything I said last night on Fox News was the truth. And everything I said on Fox News last night were talking points that came from me to Jesse Waters, producer, and then we're on the air for millions and millions of people to hear. I do not follow anyone else's talking points except my own. So if you want to support the work I'm doing and get access to the very best coverage and intelligence from the far left, I only use primary source information. I will always show you the primary sources so you can do your own research. You can decide for yourself what you think. I will never make up words or terms like Antifa, which isn't a real thing. I will tell you they're queer Marxists and they're bashback and all that stuff so that you can go and do your own research. The very best way to fund the work I'm doing is by heading over to my Substack. That is Karlyn, Karlyn, .substack.com, and sign up for a membership of $8 a month or $80 a year. You can, of course, also become a YouTube channel member. You can, of course, send in super chats. You can do that too. But Substack is the very best way to fund the work I'm doing. And if you guys are new to my work and you would like a crash course in it, right now on the homepage of my Substack, I have the re-education course, an anti-communist introduction to the far left. This is a 90-minute intro course that you can take for my work to start to understand the language of the left. It is totally free. The video's on the Substack. You can watch it in parts if you want, but that is the very, 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 very best place to get a crash course introduction to my work if you're new. And you can find that over on the Substack. All right, let's dig into this because we got a long way to go. Let me set up the sound. We are going to be using an AI thing to read this, so I don't have to read the whole thing. Guys, please make sure you have mounted the like button if you would be so kind. Please make sure you are subscribed to the channel. If you are not already, I'm going to make the text nice and big so everyone can see it. And let's get this party started. If my thing wants to work, it'll work. Takes a second. Come on. Come on, plugin. Work. I have another way to do this if the plugin doesn't want to work. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. We hope it works. But if it doesn't, I will pop the website into another thing. Oh, come on. Seriously? 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 No, I don't want a woman's voice. Oh my God. Hang on. Okay. Stand by, stand by, stand by. I can do this another way. Oh, always got to be something, doesn't it? Oh, you know why? Because I'm not logged in. Because I am not logged into this. I should have done that before I got started. Hey. Oh, wait. No, I am logged in. What am I talking about? I am absolutely logged into this. Hang on. Thank you for the super chat. You're a bit of an abrasive asshole at times, but above all, you've been right. You've earned my dollar. Job well done. Listen, man, who do you want teaching you about the far left? Do you want an abrasive asshole fighting the far left, or do you want someone that cares about feelings? Choose. Do you want an abrasive asshole teaching you about the far left, or do you want someone that is going to coddle your fifis and pat you on the head and give you a hug and cry and all that stuff? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I am just saying. All right, let me see. Just try this one more time. See if I can get this working. If I can't, we're going to go with this other thing. No, the plugin is not working today. Okay. Library. Website. I just got to get the website loaded in this thing. It'll take 1 sec. All right. Well, we're not going to have the pictures to look at, but that's okay because we only care about the text anyway. So now we can read this. Let's get this party started.
In a post on Truth Social yesterday, Donald Trump declared that he is designating Antifa as a major terrorist organization. What does that mean?
Hang on.
How can we prepare to weather the storm? Everyone should read this guide. It's always difficult to tell how seriously to take Trump's.
I'm going to put the link in the chat. If people want to follow the link directly, I'll put the link to the article in the chat so you guys can read it directly and you can look at the pictures and stuff like that. Okay, back to this.
It's always difficult to tell how seriously to take Trump's performative declarations. He makes wild statements to see what plays to his audience, throwing things against the wall to see what sticks, and then doubles down wherever there is no pushback. But this time around, his administration has stuck very close to the classic fascist playbook, with one supporter going so far as to declare without any irony that the shooting of Charlie Kirk is the American Reichstag fire. The obvious next step in that playbook is to expand from targeting immigrants to go after anarchists, leftists, and other opponents of the regime as well. Yes, Trump has previously declared that he would designate Antifa a terrorist organization, most famously at the outset of the George Floyd revolt. But at that time, the rest of the
I just want to pause there. They called it the George Floyd revolt. The left calls the Black Lives Matter riots of 2020 by a couple different names. I've never actually heard them call it the George Floyd revolt before. I've heard them call it the George Floyd uprising, and I've heard them call it the George Floyd rebellion. But I guess we're adding George Floyd revolt in there now as well.
But at that time, the rest of the federal government largely acted as a brake on his impulses whereas today, the entire executive branch of the federal government is comprised of toadies and sycophants who are incapable of distinguishing their interests from his. Granted, there is no law authorizing the president to designate domestic terrorist organizations. But even without new legislation or an executive order, Trump has direct control over the Department of Justice, the Department of Homeland Security, the Federal Bureau of Investigations, and other federal agencies. What he says on social media is probably indicative of what he will direct his underlings to do. The fact that Antifa is not an organization at all, but rather a nebulous category that could include virtually anyone who disapproves of Trump's autocratic agenda, is convenient for Trump. Point 2. This means that, regardless of who you are or what you do, you too could become a target. That's why everyone should review the following suggestions, whether or not you think they apply to you. Rather than spreading panic, preparing ourselves in concrete ways will enable us to approach this situation calmly and effectively. While no domestic terror organization designation currently exists, and nor does any obvious mechanism to establish one.
Why am I not working with the administration? 2 days before Charlie Kirk's death, I tried to work with the administration. I tried to tell the administration through Harmeet Dillon, the Assistant Attorney General of the United States, that there was a communist employed at Texas State University that was overtly calling for the overthrow of the federal government. And when I reached out to Harmeet Dillon, Assistant Attorney General of the United States, to tell her that I found a communist working at Texas State University threatening to overthrow the federal government, Harmeet Dillon told me that she was more concerned about my use of capital letters than she was about the communist, and she wasn't going to do anything about it. So it's not as though I haven't tried to work with people in the administration. People in the administration have been shitting on me for years. And now all of a sudden, people want me to go work with the administration. Guess what? If the Trump administration wants to work with me, they can fucking reach out to me. I have reached out to them enough. They can come to me now and ask what information I have. And if they come to me, then I will work with them and I will help them. But let's not pretend that I haven't tried to fucking work with these people. I have. They didn't want to listen. So that's why. And if you don't believe me that Harmeet Dillon said that, I posted the DMs on my Twitter like a week ago.
While no domestic terror organization designation currently exists, and nor does any obvious mechanism to establish one, far-right prosecutors already have a track record of groundlessly pressing trumped-up terrorism charges as a means of terrorizing activists and supporters of social movements. Trump has explicitly called for the use of racketeering charges to suppress his critic. Far-right Republican senators are already sponsoring a bill that would add rioting to the list of offenses that the Justice Department can use as part of a probe under the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. There are obvious precedents for how this might go. 2 years ago, a wide range of
What I want everyone to notice, because people on the right think that Antifa is mentally ill and lazy, I want everyone to notice as we go through this document that, again, for people who just joined, this was released on Antifa's website yesterday about their response to Trump declaring them a terrorist organization. You can find the direct link. It's pinned to the top of the chat on YouTube, so you can find it there. You can find it on CrimethInc's website as well. But I want people to notice as we go through this document, they're being very pragmatic. They're being very detail-oriented. They're not being outlandish. They're not reeing. They are going about their analysis of this in a very detailed and thoughtful way. Now, of course, we don't agree with their perspective. I'm not saying people should agree with their perspective. They're presenting their own narrative in this. But I want people to understand this is something they're taking seriously, and this is a very thoughtfully written document that insane people, mentally ill people, lazy people, they don't write this. I did a video about it, but so like I don't have the receipts posted on my Substack. I really like to keep the Substack to just pure content about the left, not like interpersonal internet drama. But yeah, I mean, you'd have to go like you can look at the tweets on Twitter without actually having an X account. So, but I don't really want to focus on that right now.
2 years ago, a wide range of defendants in Atlanta, Georgia were randomly charged under the RICO Act as part of the repression of the Stop Cop City movement. The cases have been endlessly delayed, and earlier this month, a judge dismissed most of the charges on a technicality. Supporters of the Stop Cop City defendants in Atlanta. Under Donald Trump, many federal agencies are disorganized and focused chiefly on managing perceptions. This precisely describes the authorities who brought the haphazard RICO charges in Georgia 2 years ago. If the trajectory of the Stop Cop City RICO case offers any indication of how other RICO persecutions of accused activists might go, the chief threat may not be that the crackdown Trump is calling for will send people to prison, but rather that the charges will discourage and immobilize people, creating the conditions for the Trump administration to eventually supersede this form of repression with something worse.
Okay, so I want people to understand this. So what Antifa is telling us is, look, Trump, you tried to do this RICO thing with Stop Cop City like last year, and we aren't really afraid of like going to prison. They're saying they're not afraid they're going to go to prison. They're afraid that Trump is going to demoralize and discourage their activists. So those are two very different things. So Antifa's like, we don't actually believe you're going to get us on these RICO charges. We don't actually believe we're going to go to prison. We just think people are going to be demoralized and not want to go out and participate.
But rather that the charges will discourage and immobilize people, creating the conditions for the Trump administration to eventually supersede this form of repression with something worse. It remains to be seen how seriously the administration will carry out Trump's threats, and whether they will start by attacking grassroots groups or proceed from the top down, targeting massive liberal institutions and fundraising platforms. In either case, our long-term prospects will depend on whether we can enable large numbers of people to act in solidarity with each other, taking up the kind of grassroots direct action tactics that can be effective regardless of whether the people who control the state wish to listen.
Okay, I want to make sure we emphasize this. Our long-term prospects will depend on whether we can enable large numbers of people to act in solidarity and take up grassroots direct action. So what Antifa is telling you is that in response to Trump declaring them a terrorist organization, we are going to see more direct actions from them, because their whole goal is going to be to get more people to take more direct actions to continue to destabilize things, because they don't think that they're actually going to go to prison anyway. And so if they can just keep people involved, they will fend off the demoralization that they think that this trumped up this terrorism thing is going to cause. Does everyone understand that? They have no problem breaking the law, guys. They talk about breaking the law all the time. There's another picture. They like including pictures. One of the cool things actually about CrimethInc's website is they do actually include a lot of pictures of their other direct actions, so you can see directly what they're referencing. But let's continue.
Taking up the kind of grassroots direct action tactics that can be effective regardless of whether the people who control the state wish to listen. We all live in Atlanta now. Here are some steps you can take to protect yourself and your community, proceeding from the immediate to the general. Don't be intimidated. Keeping your morale up is essential to resistance. Do not surrender in advance. Our adversaries aim to cow us into submission because they know that they cannot subdue us by brute force alone. Remember, managing perceptions is core to the fascist project. They seek to project strength at all times precisely because they are not invincible. Even when things seem grim, keep your hopes up and keep fighting. Defeatism only serves the enemy.
So what they're saying here is they're saying, guys, Trump is just trying to intimidate you. There's nothing he can really do to us. He's just trying to intimidate you. This is about a show of force, a show of strength. This is about perception. They think that Trump is basically putting on a show to try to get them to shut up and go home. And so the very first thing Antifa is telling everyone nationwide is, don't be intimidated. Don't take their shit. Continue to go out into the streets. Continue to take direct action and stuff like that. So they're really, like, Antifa, I think, is most worried about the mental game that this is going to play with people above all else. And so that's what they're going to be trying to overcome. Yeah, so Bear Boy says, so they're saying they're emboldening. Yes, they're going to try to embolden their people in response to the Trump terrorism designation. Exactly.
Defeatism only serves the enemy. Several recent examples show that a determined movement can beat repression. On January 20, 2017, only a few hours into Trump's first presidency, hundreds of people were arrested in proximity to his inauguration.
Hang on. There are no leaders in Antifa. People really need to understand that. There are no leaders in Antifa. This document was probably collectively written by several people. And I explained this at the beginning, but let me just explain it again because we've had more people join. Antifa is a highly decentralized organization where there is no hierarchy, there is no leadership. Everyone is decentralized. Everyone is in their own cell. And even the cells are not hierarchical. They have very specific ways that they communicate with each other. And one of the ways, so if you are trying to coordinate across an entire nation of mass decentralized cells, what do? You publish documents that all of those cells read. We are reading a document from CrimethInc. CrimethInc is the main publishing arm of Antifa. CrimethInc publishes these things that then get disseminated out to all the different cells. So all the different cells voluntarily, this is not a directive, they're reading this stuff and engaging with it voluntarily. They all know what the talking points are. So there are no leaders. You guys have got to, you will never, ever, 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 ever understand the left if you do not start to wrap your head around the fact that they are not a hierarchy. They do not engage in the same way that the right does. They have systems and processes for dealing with conflict, for working out different issues, for like, there are people who take on leadership roles, but they don't take them on for that long. There are no permanent leaders in these organizations. The leadership rotates so that different people are leaders on any given day or for any given task. It does not function the same way that you guys function, and you've got to start understanding this. There are not, again, I have former Antifa members on my channel. There are no membership lists. There's no money. They steal stuff. There's no big funding that Trump is going to be able to cut off. So if Trump is actually going to do anything to defeat these people, they've got to start understanding exactly how they organize and what their process is, because it is very different from how the right organizes, which the right doesn't organize at all, but the right does behave like a hierarchy. These people don't.
On January 20th, 2017, only a few hours into Trump's first presidency, hundreds of people were arrested in proximity to his inauguration. They were charged with 8 identical felonies apiece, 2 of which were not even on the books as legitimate charges, and threatened with decades in prison. The defendants could have reacted by taking plea deals or going it alone in the court system.
There is no universe in which they've been doing this. You guys give the FBI and the Trump administration way too much credit. There is no universe in which they've been doing this. Please start to understand this. Now, everyone pay attention, okay? Listen.
Instead, in an astonishing display of solidarity, nearly 200 people committed to fighting the charges together, and after a stressful year and a half, they beat every single one of the charges. The Stop Cop City RICO case has foundered thus far for similar reasons. RICO and conspiracy cases often hinge on whether some of the defendants can be frightened into cooperating with the prosecution. If the defendants form a united front and their communities stand resolutely beside them, the chief advantages of the state evaporate. Solidarity is power.
Now we can see what they're concerned about. The Stop City RICO case has founded thus for similar reasons. RICO and conspiracy cases hinge on whether some defendants can be frightened into cooperating with the prosecution. If defendants form a united front from their communities and stand resolutely beside them, the chief advantages of the state evaporate. So what they're saying, and this is probably why they started off the piece by saying, guys, there's no reason to get demoralized here. They're just trying to do a show of force. Trump is just trying to make us think he has power he doesn't have. What they are chiefly worried about is that people within Antifa are going to be coerced by the state to turn against Antifa. And so they're saying we have to remain in solidarity. No one turns their back. We are a collective. We are comrades. We are in solidarity with each other. And by the way, the left takes that very, very seriously. When the left calls someone a comrade, I know we laugh about it and we joke about it, but the left actually does take the title of like comrade to be a serious title in which they are a trusted part of the community. They are in solidarity with the community. Excommunication from the community is one of the things that the left worries about the most. And so they're telling people, if you want to be in solidarity with us, you better not fuck us over and go to the state. That's what they're saying. Yeah, they're saying snitches get stitches. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. We got a couple super chats. I want to make sure I honor these. They don't believe in hierarchies. Otherwise, you guys, conservatives, should know who the leaders are by name. Yeah, that's exactly right. If Antifa believes in a hierarchy, then why don't we know who the leaders of Antifa are? Because there are no leaders of Antifa. You can't even name all the chapters. Not even close. Conservatives have no idea. Julietta had to get a sweatshirt. We'll send you pics. Awesome. Awesome. Hope you enjoy that, Julietta. Thank you, two ladies. Appreciate it. All right.
Solidarity is power. Make the most of your strength. Donald Trump and the institutions he presides over are hierarchical, centralized, formally structured, and profit-driven.
See?
They would prefer to fight a symmetrical adversary. By contrast, the movements that challenge them are largely decentralized and horizontal, without formal roles or funding.
What did I just say? What did I just say? Antifa is telling you guys. Antifa is telling you guys. We are decentralized and horizontal without formal roles or funding. And remember, I've been undercover with Antifa when there are no cameras, there's no public thing. They say exactly the same thing. They say exactly the same thing in their propaganda. They are horizontal, decentralized, with no main source of funding, with no formal roles. They do not operate in the same way you guys do. They're telling you this. And they're doing it because the reason they're telling you guys this is they know that the Trump administration doesn't know how to deal with this. And they're flat out saying that. They're like, Trump operates like a hierarchy and he thinks he can take us on. They have specifically developed their organization to contend with the government, with the government coming after them, essentially. So this means no Soros funding, no USAID funding. They are funded by mutual aid, and there is no fuck off way that Trump is going to be able to cut off their mutual aid funding. There is no way. It's almost like I'm always right. Exactly. It's almost like when you listen to the left, when you actually just read their documents and listen to them and go undercover at their events and listen to what they're talking about, it's almost like they always tell you what they're doing. Let's listen to that again.
This is a good thing, not only.
No, here.
By contrast, the movements that challenge them are largely decentralized and horizontal, without formal roles or funding. This is a good thing, not only because it undermines prosecutors' concocted narratives, but also because it makes it more difficult to figure out who to target in the first place. If they have to focus on the population at large, if resistance could come from any direction, they won't be able to concentrate their forces. The autocrats are not in a position to repress everyone who opposes fascism. Remember, on June 14, 2025, the day of the No Kings demonstration, well over 5 million people flooded the streets to defy Trump. Safety will not come from hiding from the authorities, permitting them to go after their targets one at a time, but rather from spreading resistance tactics, strategies, and momentum as widely as possible.
Safety does not come from hiding from the authorities, permitting them to go after their targets one at a time, but rather from spreading resistance tactics, strategy, and momentum as widely as possible. I got a zine in New York over the weekend, and I had actually already seen this zine online, but it's actually published by CrimethInc. I got a zine in New York this weekend called "It's Safer at the Front." What the point of that zine is that it is safer to be at the front of a protest and be one of the people provoking the police than it is to be hiding in the back of the crowd. That is their contention. And what they're trying to say here, guys, don't hide away in your homes. Don't wait for the Trump administration to come and arrest us one by one. We need to be out in the streets in large numbers, and we will all be safer in the streets if we are out in large numbers. Again, the zine I'm referencing here, and I literally picked this up at the Antifa table in New York City last weekend. It is called "It is Safer at the Front." You can find the zine on CrimethInc's website if you want to read it.
Trump. Safety will not come from hiding from the authorities, permitting them to go after their targets one at a time, but rather from spreading resistance tactics, strategies, and momentum as widely as possible. Everyone who is against fascism is an anti-fascist. In seeking to target everyone who opposes fascism, Trump is biting off more than he can chew, provided we don't roll over and let him win. Prepare for federal visits and raids.
Prepare for federal visits and raids. Okay, let's do that. But let's look at this picture first. Look at this. Build a wall of resistance by not talking to the FBI. And by the way, so we don't talk about this often. The far left organizes a lot of tenants unions, tenants rights groups. So basically like renters. The far left has so many like renters rights groups where they go after landlords and stuff like that. One of the things they use the renters groups for is to organize against the FBI, to organize against ICE. Okay, because when ICE is trolling around their neighborhoods, they essentially have all these signal groups where they're communicating with everyone in the neighborhood in these signal groups. And they're saying such and such is around the neighborhood. Don't talk to them. Don't go outside. Don't do this. Don't do that. Now they're going to do the same thing with the FBI. And guess what? They already have the infrastructure to do it.
Prepare for federal visits and raid. Review what to do in the event of a visit from police or federal agents, whether they are simply making inquiries, show up with a subpoena, or execute a no-knock raid. Back up your electronics and store the backups somewhere secure that cannot be easily connected to you. Remove items from your house that should not fall into the wrong hand.
Wow.
Get legal representation in place ahead of time, so you know what lawyers you will work with.
Get your illegal shit out of your house.
Get legal representation in place ahead of time, so you know what lawyers you will work with. If you learn of someone else's house being raided, show up and take video footage. The more attention is focused on every state assault, the safer everyone will be. Instruct your friends in advance as to how they can support you in the event of a raid or arrest, whether that means feeding your cat, providing childcare, or reaching out to your employer or family members. Make your preferences known in advance. For example, if you are arrested, would you prefer to be bailed out immediately or to wait to see if your bail is reduced? The more precisely you can specify your desires in advance, the better. In a worst-case scenario, you don't want rival factions of your support committee to be wrangling over what you would prefer without any way of resolving the question.
And I just want to pause it because the AI is not going to be able to read this image. So this says, when the police knock on, no, you cannot come in, and I do not consent to a search. Keep the outer gate or door chain lock. If you must step outside and close the door behind you, better yet, speak at the door. They're basically training people on, here is exactly what you say and exactly what you do when the feds come knocking at your door. You can go and read this on your own if you want. But again, like, this is something they hand out. When I was at the Antifa thing, or actually, you know what? I actually have it in my thing. When I was at the Antifa event over the weekend, they handed me this red card with, here is what you say to ICE. I actually stuck it in my phone just for safekeeping, but I actually got this from Antifa training me how to talk to ICE when they show up, and they hand these out to people all in the neighborhood, and they're going to do the same thing with this. So this is specifically about like ICE and like stuff about that. But they're going to do it with the cops and the FBI as well.
The more precisely you can specify your desires in advance, the better. In a worst-case scenario, you don't want rival factions of your support committee to be wrangling over what you would prefer without any way of resolving the question. Click on the image to download the guide. Be transparent about repression. If you are the target of repression, talk openly about it. They want to isolate you and make you paranoid. If you're already on their radar, you gain nothing from trying to hide that they are targeting you. Don't draw any connections for them that are not already clear for all to see. Don't make yourself unnecessarily easy for them to find, but double down on your public connections. If federal
See, there are so many conservatives and Republicans who are completely unhinged from reality. The feds do this all the time. You think the feds don't know what they're talking about? If the feds do this all the time and the feds know what they're talking about, then why wasn't this dealt with in the first Trump administration during the BLM riots? Why wasn't this dealt with in June when they were rioting? Why hasn't it? Do you guys understand, right? Antifa has been rioting in Portland for fucking months. Every single day for months. If the Trump administration has such a good handle on this, then why hasn't that stopped? They have no fucking clue. They've never had any fucking clue. And I'm getting really sick of Republicans making excuses. I've had so many Republicans in my comments lately. You think you know better than the FBI? Yes. Yeah, I do. Actually, unironically, I do. I don't think the FBI has any fuck off clue what the names of these groups are. I don't think the FBI has any clue how these groups are organized. I don't think the FBI has any clue how these groups are funded. I don't think the FBI has any clue how even to begin to wrap their head around this. I don't think the FBI has any fucking clue, because if the FBI did have a clue, guess what? There wouldn't have been riots in Los Angeles in June. If the FBI had any fucking clue, there wouldn't have been rioting in Portland for months and months and months and months. If the FBI and the Trump administration had any clue, they would have taken care of this problem in 2020 when they didn't do shit. So can you guys please, every single time you say, you think you know stuff that the FBI doesn't know, Every time you do this, you run cover for the far left and they end up making more progress. And I'm just going to ban everyone that's doing this right now. Because honestly, if you're going to be an apologist for the do nothing fucking Trump administration in my chat, if you're just going to be there and go, the FBI is the best and the greatest, and the FBI is totally going to save us, and you don't know anything, and the FBI knows everything, then you don't belong here. You're not smart enough to be in my audience. I am very sorry. You are not smart enough to be here if you think the FBI knows everything. Thank you, No Mayo, for that. Dragon Balls, thank you for being a member of my channel for 19 months. The nuanced irony, the way the CCP thugs shut down the Hong Kong protesters in the end, is a playbook page Trump may want to take. Hong Kong signal was tracked. Yeah, that would actually be a great reference point. Trump should do exactly what they did to shut down the Hong Kong protesters, because the Hong Kong protesters were organized in exactly the same way as Antifa.
If federal agents visit you or subpoena you, the best way to get the support you need and maintain the trust of your community is to refuse to cooperate, document everything about the encounters, and publicize it so that everyone knows what is going on. Redundancy means resilience. If you play a role in a project or community effort, however formal or informal, make sure others know how to do what you do. That goes for you as an individual and for any groups you participate in as a whole. Spread your skills and knowledge far and wide. Copy the key to the bookstore. Share the login to the social media account with someone you trust. Help people to found another food distribution or legal aid project like your own. Making it easy for others to replace you can diminish the incentive.
If Antifa follows this advice, they will go to prison. Then why haven't they yet? Then why hasn't that happened yet? Then why haven't they gone to prison yet? They've been rioting and causing destruction for years and years and years and years and years and years and years. And you guys expect me to believe that now everything's different? I don't believe it. And guess what? Antifa doesn't believe it either. Yeah, you would think Andy No would cover this. You would think he would, wouldn't you? Huh. Almost like there's a lot of stuff that's going on with Antifa and the far left that Andy No doesn't tell you, which is what I've been trying to say for a while.
Making it easy for others to replace you can diminish the incentive to target you. Likewise, make information about how to counter repression as widely available as possible. Hold regular educational events in your community about security culture and distribute materials about it. Educate people about how to respond if agents pressure them to become informants or subpoena them to a grand jury. The more people know these things, the better, as federal agents sometimes begin by exerting pressure on those they perceive to be on the periphery of social movement. Click on the image to download the guide. Coordinate to support each other. Reach out to others in a similar situation. For example, if you run a radical bookshop or student group, you could create a network of similar projects so that all of you can move into action as soon as one of you is targeted for repression.
I want to talk about radical bookshops for a second. For people who don't know, there is a massive, massive network of radical and revolutionary bookstores all over the country. One of the ways that socialists and communists make a lot of money is in book publishing. There are a massive amount of socialist book publishers. They turn out books that are taught in colleges all over the world. You got Haymarket Books, P&M Press, AK Press, Veriso Books, Pluto Press. There are all sorts of different socialist book publishers that publish almost exclusively socialist books. Those books are then sold in they're sold on college campuses. They are taught in college classes. They're also sold in socialist and communist bookstores. A lot of those socialist and communist bookstores are set up in a way where they have educational events and community events where they're bringing in socialist authors, they're doing socialist classes, etc., etc. And bro, this is the stupidest thing conservatives say. If you guys listen to nothing else, Please stop saying this. Are you telling me that communists use capitalism? They must be hypocrites. The fucking Communist Manifesto literally tells them that they're allowed to use capitalism as long as they live in a capitalist society, because their job is to overthrow capitalism. They have to exist within the system in order to overthrow the system. They are allowed to use capitalism. They are using it to their advantage. This is the dumbest debunk that conservatives have of the far left. It shows you haven't even read the Communist Manifesto, where it says they're allowed to do this. Anyway, back to the whole bookstore point. In the bookstores, they do educational events where they create community and educational experiences around all of their socialist ideas. So if you go into and don't take my word for it, Google radical bookstore, revolutionary bookstore. They might also call it a collective. They call it different things. Google one in a city near you and just go there and look at the flyers on the wall. Look at the different organizations that are organizing, because those bookstores are like one of the central hubs of socialist and communist organizing in the United States. Thank you, Rottweiler. This is the consequence of dismissing Antifa as a group of blue-haired weirdos from Tumblr. Thanks, dim fool, and realize that they know what they're doing. They absolutely know what they're doing. They're not stupid. They're not mentally ill. They're not lazy. They're not any of those things. Dragon Ball, it's astounding to me that conservatives blindly trust the FBI's grasp and handling of Antifa, while Epstein denial by Patel. And yeah, you guys are going to trust the FBI when the FBI's like, there's no Epstein list. Epstein didn't kill himself, but the FBI knows what's up, and the FBI would never lie to you. The FBI's been lying to us for months. The FBI's been withholding the Epstein files for months and months and months, saying, oh, hey guys, the Epstein files is a Democrat hoax. There's no Epstein list. We don't know what you're talking about. Of course Epstein killed himself. And you guys want to trust the FBI now? Great plan. Great plan, conservatives. Excellent, excellent, excellent plan. Nothing could go wrong with that plan of trusting the FBI.
For example, if you run a radical bookshop or student group, you could create a network of similar projects so that all of you can move into action as soon as one of you is targeted for repression. Brainstorm about what forms of leverage you can employ to maximize the cost of targeting you and to ensure that any assaults on you mobilize people rather than intimidating them. Prepare a contact list and a list of responses tailored to different scenarios. Give copies of these documents to comrades you can rely on to...
Yeah, I know. You guys sent the FBI a sternly worded fucking letter when they refused to release the Epstein files. I know. You guys shook your fist at the sky and sent the FBI a sternly worded letter saying, how dare you not release the Epstein files? And then nothing happened. And now you're like, hey guys, let's trust that the FBI knows everything about Antifa. Yeah, great plan. Okay. Andre, so they're very intelligent at pushing propaganda through bookstores and schools. They're using capitalism against the capitalists. That is exactly right. Exactly right. They're using capitalism against the capitalists.
Give copies of these documents. Prepare a contact list and a list of responses tailored to different scenarios. Give copies of these documents to comrades you can rely on to support you in the event of repression, so that as soon as something happens, everyone will hear about it and know what to do. For example, if we are arrested and not immediately released, we'll hold a press conference the next day, we'll conduct an online publicity campaign, and we'll arrange a fundraising campaign. Discredit the police and courts. While Donald Trump and his henchmen have sought to bend the legal system to their will and sidestepped it outright wherever that was not possible, this involves some drawbacks, as it diminishes the perceived legitimacy of institutions that they nonetheless rely on. Promisingly, multiple grand juries have refused to indict defendants charged.
Oh my God. Will I be happy when the Rose City Antifa cell is in custody? Are you retarded? Are you stupid? Are you smart enough to be here? Do you guys understand that Rose City Antifa is one of 1,000 Antifa cells across the country? Maybe even much more than that. You think I'm going to be... I will be very happy when Rose City Antifa is arrested, but do you understand that Rose City Antifa is one small group out of thousands of these things that exist all over the country? Do you think the entire problem is going to be solved when you lock up one small group out of thousands? Are you retarded? Do you guys have any idea the problem that you are dealing with? Do you have any fucking clue? What? So you're saying I'm retarded? Oh, guess what? Guess what? You just got permanently banned from my chat. You don't get to insult me in my chat without getting permanently banned. I can do whatever I want because you are in my house right now. You are at my house by my consent. Guys, we have 2 rules in the chat. Number 1, don't be a dick. Number 2, no whining. That's it. Don't be a dick. No whining. I can do whatever I want because you're in my house. The minute you insult me is the minute you get permanently banned in my chat. And the minute that you insult other people is the minute you get banned too. There is a hierarchy on my channel, and I'm at the fucking top.
Promisingly, multiple grand juries have refused to indict defendants charged by prosecutors serving
Thank you.
Donald
I
Trump.
appreciate it.
We should popularize the tactic of jury nullification as a means by which ordinary jurors can throw a wrench in the gears of federal repression. Wherever possible, we should erode public faith in the institutions that Trump will use for his crackdowns. Despite the false promises of liberty,
Whenever possible, we should erode public faith in the institutions that Trump will use for his crackdown. So one of their goals. Hey, guess what, Joseph? This is my channel. I'll do whatever the fuck I want. You just got put in a timeout. You ever tell me how to run my channel again, you will be permanently banned. If you want to be in charge of running a channel, go start your own fucking channel. Go undercover with the left for years. Spend all your fucking time doing this, and then you get to decide how to run the channel. But as you are on my channel, you can sit your ass down, shut the fuck up, and listen. I am not interested in your opinion at all in any way. Now you're going to sit in a timeout, and if you come back into my chat again and you run your mouth again, you will be permanently removed. My God, what did he just say? Oh, hang on. No, Joseph just got permanently banned. Sorry, I put him in a timeout, but I didn't see that Joseph insulted me. So now Joseph is getting permanently banned. Hang on. We're stopping the whole thing just to permanently ban him. Goodbye. Conservatives. Do you think I have been doing this literally for years, conservatives? I have been screaming at you assholes for years and years. Oh, look, see? Now the real conservatives are coming out. Oh, we're going to start permanently banning people. Goodbye. Permanent ban. Bye. Conservative feelings are why the left is going to win. Conservative whining and complaining, weak-ass conservative men who are intimidated. Oh, look. Oh, conservative feelings. I'm no longer interested. Bye. Fuck you. Go and suffer and die at the hands of Antifa. I don't really care. The banning begins. The conservative whining and crying and insulting and temper tantrums and hissy fit begins. Does anyone else want to throw a temper tantrum in the chat while I have this paused? Does any other conservative want to whine and cry and demand that I coddle their feelings and throw a temper tantrum? We are literally reading an Antifa document, and conservatives are whining in my chat about their fucking feelings. All right. Back to this. So Antifa is saying wherever possible, we should erode public faith in institutions that Trump will use for his crackdown. So people need to pay attention to this. They're saying they want to erode public faith in the police. They want to erode public faith in the courts. They're going to do everything they can to destabilize the institutions that are upholding society. Yes, this is exactly right. Not pushing back on... Oh, that's not the one I wanted to show. Hang on. This is exactly right, though. Not pushing back on conservative retardation is why we are in this position in the first place. And I realized this the other day. I was doing this Twitter space the other day where some stupid conservative tried to get up and tell me what's what, and he wanted to demand that Antifa is funded by George Soros. I realized the other day in Twitter spaces, I need to basically get a spray bottle like you do with the cat, and every time a conservative says something stupid, I need to spray them in the face with the spray bottle, hit them upside the head, and say, no, shut the fuck up. Like, conservatives conservatives cannot be allowed to continue with this retarded bullshit narrative that they have perpetuated for years. The reason that we are in the position that we are in is because of the massive amount of conservative retardation that has ensued over the last decade. They don't deal with the problem. They don't know what's going on. They don't pay attention to the far left. If you don't coddle their feelings, they will whine and cry and complain and throw a massive hissy fit and distract everything. The reason we are in the position we are in with the far left is because conservatives have allowed this to happen because no one has stood up and said, no, shut the fuck up. Listen to the left. Look at the fucking documents. We are in this position because we failed to corral the retards on the conservative right to prevent them from speaking and prevent them from distracting people who actually care about the problem from fighting the fucking problem. Yeah, so much for facts don't care about your feelings. Exactly right. So much for facts don't care about your feelings, conservatives. We see you. Trust me. If Trump uses Antifa in Canada or Germany and can find any link to the states, he can use the terrorist act. That's an interesting point. That's actually a really interesting point. I hadn't considered that. That's a good idea. So do authorities need to realize that they can't treat Antifa like any other organization they've broken into in the past and they want to be able to effectively combat it? Yes. This is not like the mafia. A lot of people have come into my channel and they said, Karlyn, this is no different than the mafia. No. It's completely different than the mafia. The mafia was a centralized organization that had hierarchy, that had books, that actually had funding sources. If conservatives are trying to treat the left like the mafia, this is not going to work at all. They need to understand how this ecosystem actually functions. And if they're unwilling to do that, then they are absolutely going to lose. Okay, I think I caught up with everything. That was a good rant, though, man. I needed to get that rant out of my system. Holy shit. I need to just get that rant about conservatives being told no out of my system. I've been holding that one back a long-ass time. Anyway, back to this. Let's continue.
Despite the false promises of liberal politicians, the wave of momentum towards defunding the police that crested in 2020 secured no major changes in legislation or budgets. The one lasting effect of the movement was that, through grassroots action, the participants succeeded in compelling large numbers of people to quit the police force. Today, exerting continuous low-level pressure against the Trump administration and its lackeys will diminish the number of people who are prepared to serve Trump as traitors to their communities, whether as ICE agents or in some other capacity.
Hang on, we got a super chat from Soup. I'm a conservative. What you're showing here is correct. I've been studying this for years. Keep it up. Welcome, Soup. Appreciate having you on the channel. Thanks for the money. No, guys, this is not real. I know that Data Republican has been pushing this stupid talking point. This is not real. What this is, what are my qualifications? I've been studying the far left and going undercover with them for 5 fucking years while you guys have been sitting on your couch doing fucking nothing. That's my qualifications. What this is the head, the person who created the Armed Queers of Salt Lake City once got an award from an organization that had some link to some other source. Just because a person got an award from an organization one time does not mean that there is actually a direct connection. So this is another bullshit conservative talking point that's being spread by Data Republican on Twitter. Data Republican is a narrative conservative shill that lies to people all the time. I have directly debunked Data Republican based on real world information. And when I directly debunked Data Republican based on real world information, she blocked me and she didn't want to hear it because she is a narrative conservative shill that is lying to spread the approved conservative narrative to her audience. You guys got to stop listening to that dumb bitch. She likes attention. She takes whatever's given to her. She puts it out into the public. She lies and spreads misinformation all the fucking time. I've seen this happen over and over and over again. I'm sorry to burst your bubble about her, but she is not someone that people can trust. And just look at the primary sources. Again, just look at the primary sources. Fence-sitting moderates led to Antifa and BLM. Very, very true. Okay. Here's another picture. Build a wall, build a resistance. So again, they're doing the same thing with ICE that they're doing with the police.
Today, exerting continuous low-level pressure against the Trump administration and its lack
No, we're going here.
fracture the political class. We need a strategy to compel opposition, politicians to actually impede the police state rather than simply standing aside.
Hang on. Get another super chat. Karlyn knows more about the far left than anyone I've found. Sit down and pay attention, or don't and suffer your ignorance. Never seen a better super chat in my life. Thank you, Meta Guide. Appreciate it.
We need a strategy to compel opposition, politicians to actually impede the police state rather than simply standing aside. Left to themselves, most politicians will simply cultivate an image rather than helping those who are under attack.
Yeah, so real, actually.
But if their image
unironically.
depends on the perception that they are opposed to Trump, that can offer points of leverage via which to impel them to take a stand.
Oh, look at this. Antifa is talking about how they're going to get Democrats to speak out against Trump. Now, Antifa hates Democrats. Antifa are not Democrats. In this case, Antifa is telling you we are going to use the Democrats as useful idiots to get them to oppose Trump because the political image of the Democrats depends on them opposing Trump. So typically, Democrats don't actually advance Antifa talking points. They really don't. Antifa gets pissed about this. But there are times where if they have a piece on the chessboard, they will use it. So look what they're saying. Left to themselves, most politicians will simply cultivate an image rather than helping those under attack. But if that image depends on the perception that they are opposed to Trump, they can offer points of leverage via which to impel them to take a stand.
Identify every institution, group, and influential individual that you have access to that is not inextricably invested in the rise of fascism. Work out what forms of leverage you can exert on each of them. With some of them, a conversation will suffice. With others, it might require other means. Set concrete goals, such as dissuading job seekers from working for ICE, getting influential figures to issue solidarity statements, or compelling local politicians to instruct police not to cooperate with federal operations. The police state requires the smooth functioning of the entire apparatus of power that makes it vulnerable at countless different points.
See, this is actually something that I heard them talking about in organizing calls earlier this year, which is they're trying to get local police and local sheriffs to basically tell the Trump administration to fuck off. That is something they've been doing since the No Kings protest, actually. So I'm surprised to see it show up here, but it does make sense. Hey, thanks, Steve-O. Hey, Karlyn, I'm loving the rant. Too cathartic. Hope you're having a good day, and I'm grabbing a drink after work. Guys, we will be doing happy hour on the channel. Happy hour is going to get postponed until 6 p.m. tonight. It usually starts at 5. It's going to start at 6 because I have a radio interview I have to do before that. But we will actually be doing happy hour. So I'm going to go out. I'm going to get some beer. And we're going to have a happy hour stream later today. So you can come back and drink with me. We're going to be watching some good content. Yes, there will be another No Kings protest next month. They just had an organizing call about it last night, which we can watch on the channel. I had to go on Fox. We were going to watch the organizing call for the No Kings protest last night, but then I had to go on Fox News and it was all over. But we can still watch that organizing call. I have a recording of it, so we can still do that. No, Obama is not Antifa. Obama does not support Antifa. Antifa hates Obama. Obama had literally nothing to do with this.
The police state requires the smooth functioning of the entire apparatus of power that makes it vulnerable at countless different points. The liberals who helped to create a fracture between Trump and Elon Musk simply by holding signs at Tesla dealerships have demonstrated how to divide the alliance that supports Trump. This should be repeated over and over, especially targeting those who are peripherally involved rather than those who are most deeply committed to his authoritarian project.
So listen to what they said. The liberals who helped to create a fracture between Trump and Elon Musk simply by holding signs at the Tesla dealerships have demonstrated how to divide the alliances that support Trump. So they're telling you all of the protest on those Tesla dealerships, that wasn't Antifa. That was the liberals. And the liberals were the useful idiots of Antifa because the liberals protesting the Tesla dealerships, this is their perception, the liberals protesting the Tesla dealerships drove the wedge between Trump and Elon Musk. The number one thing that you need to do right now is you need to shut the fuck up and listen and learn about the real far left. Until you guys learn the real far left and you learn what they actually believe and what they're actually doing, there is no tactic I can give you that you're going to be successful at. So right now, your job is to unlearn every conservative bullshit talking point that you've ever learned about the far left. You need to sit down, you need to open your ears, and you need to listen to what they're actually doing. And until you do this, I'm not giving you anything else to do. That is your job right now, is to learn. And by the way, guys, I'm not just making this up. The reason the left is so effective is the left puts education and learning about your enemy, learning about the different revolutionary strategies, they put it at the center of their organizing. Education and learning is at the center of leftist organizing. And so we have to do the same thing on our side. Shut the fuck up. Stop pushing these bullshit conservative talking points and hinge into reality with the real far left. And if you don't do that, there is nothing that I can do because you don't know your enemy. Right now, the enemy in the left in the country is operating completely unopposed. And the reason the left in the country is operating completely unopposed is because the right, the political entity that claims they're fighting the left, they have no clue about their enemy. They have no clue who they are. They have no clue what they believe. They have no clue how they're organized. They have no clue how they're structured. So there's no tactic that I'm going to give you. You need to sit down and learn about your enemy, because if you do not understand your enemy, you will never, ever, 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 ever be able to defeat them. And we'll teach you. I will teach you everything you need to know. And if you don't like me, go somewhere else. But you do need to learn regardless. Do you think the left militants need to be given a black eye in real life confrontations? Yes. Yeah. I think watching Antifa, this is just a personal thing. Obviously, I don't condone violence. Obviously, I never personally would enact violence on anyone. But I think watching Antifa get the ever-loving shit beat out of them would be very cathartic. And I think it would make me happy. And I think I would sit here and if the Proud Boys want to go beat the shit out of Antifa over and over and over again, I would watch that on a live stream every day of the week. I think that would be great. Yes. I obviously don't condone violence, no violence, but if the Proud Boys of their own volition want to go beat the shit out of Antifa, I'm not going to stop them.
Repeated over and over, especially targeting those who are peripherally involved rather than those who are most deeply committed to his authoritarian project. Peel away the pillars of his support structure one by one. The United States is polarized and divided, regionally as well as locally. If communities, cities, or whole regions can eventually put themselves concretely beyond the reach of federal repression, a model for real resistance will emerge. Take the offensive. In chess, once you become focused on defensive maneuvers, you have lost the game. To face down Trump's power grab, we need proactive strategies. Rather than simply reacting over and over, we have to choose the time and place of conflicts. This can be a way to tie up the resources and labor cycles that will otherwise be directed against us. Trump's oligarchical policies are immiserating countless millions all around the world. We need to demonstrate means of addressing the urgent needs that he is creating in a way that conveys a revolutionary vision of social change. The best defense is a good offense. They can't repress us all. Refuse.
So they're telling you, we're going on offensive, guys. We're not saying on defense. We're going on offense. Hey, Elena. Elena gifted 5 channel memberships. Let's see. Meow got one. Jerk Store CEO got one. PFU got one. Motorbike got one. And Mustard Seed got one. Congratulations to everyone who got a channel membership. And thank you, Elena, for gifting those things.
Refuse to divide. When repression succeeds, its most damaging effect is not the immediate impact of the blow, but the fault lines it opens up. Trump's chief goal is to make us doubt ourselves and resent each other. Resolving misunderstandings and conflicts is a fundamental part of resistance. Present criticisms in good faith, holding open the door for those who are currently your rivals to eventually become allies, provided that they learn to conduct themselves responsibly. Those spreading divisiveness and toxicity are doing the work of the state.
Is that it? All right. Well, guys, that is it. That is the Antifa plan for fighting Trump. Again, what we were just reading, if you just tuned in, what we were reading was on CrimethInc's website. CrimethInc is the publishing arm of Antifa, and they just released this document that is their response, basically, to the Trump administration declaring them a terrorist organization. And what they're saying, their main point is, yes, there's a link to find the document. The link is pinned to the top of the chat on YouTube, so just go to the top of the chat. Their main point is, and I'll put it in the chat again, actually. You guys can go read this document on your own. Always look at the primary sources. Never take my word for anything. Always look at the primary sources for yourself. But essentially what Antifa is saying is they aren't actually afraid of the Trump administration. They're not afraid of going to jail. They think that they need to be actually out in the streets more. They think they need to, their biggest concern is people within Antifa turning against them and going to the state and turning against them. So they're going to respond to that by doing more direct actions, giving people more opportunity to be in solidarity, do more training around what happens when the FBI shows up, what happens when ICE shows up, all that stuff. But I don't think Antifa is actually that intimidated by this whole thing. And I think that they're actually just going to double down and they're going to get more aggressive as a result. And I think that we're seeing that in this document right here. That other Jenny, thank you for the super chat. I can't help thinking that the tactics outlined in this document are highlighting precisely why the libertarians will never be successful. A lot of parallels here, but the only socialists are being effective with them. Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. The libertarians would never be successful in handling this. All right, guys, that is all I have for right now. Now, I will be back for a stream later today, but I'm going to go do an interview with Kim Iverson, so I should also be on Kim Iverson's show later today. I also have an interview with a New York City radio station later today, but I will be back. We are going to do happy hour today. Happy hour is on Fridays. I do my happy hour stream where I drink beer and we watch content on the internet, and I have earned, does everyone think I have earned my happy hour stream for this week? Have I done enough to earn a stream where we watch content and laugh at people and drink beer? Have I earned that? It's probably going to be around 6 p.m. tonight. It's going to be a little bit later, but I will be back. So I want everyone to go get some alcohol or some weed or some snacks or whatever makes you happy, whatever you feel you've earned for the end of the week. And I want you to come back around 6 p.m. tonight and join me for happy hour. And we'll watch some fun content and we'll laugh and we will banter and we will play and we will just have a nice, relaxing time. All right. So we're going to do that a little bit later. If you guys want to support the work I'm doing, head over to my Substack. That is Karlyn, Karlyn .substack.com. Sign up for $8 a month, $80 a year. As a reminder, I am 100% funded by people like you. I cannot do this if people like you don't support the work I'm doing. I will always show you the receipts. I will never show you a political narrative. You will always be able to find the content for yourself. And if you want more of my work, head over to the Substack. Take my re-education class. If you haven't taken the class Re-Education and Anti-Communist Introduction to the Far Left, it's pinned on the homepage right now. This is a free 90-minute class. It is a crash course to my work. So if you're brand new, this is no, don't do shrooms. No, do not do shrooms and watch the Far Left. That is a horrible idea. I said weed. I didn't say shrooms. I said weed. Okay. No shrooms, no acid, no any of that is like you would fuck yourself up something good, man. That it would be a bad trip. That is a bad idea. That is a bad idea, bro. Anyway, guys, Thank you for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. Welcome to all the new people who found my channel, and mount the like button on the way out the door. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you're not already. And I will catch you guys on the flip side, guys. Okay, take care. Have a good one. We'll see you soon.
How are you feeling? How long have you been here?
3 months, May 17th.
And what brought you?
That's difficult to answer.
Would you give me some idea?
I am not completely like other people.
What do you mean by that?
People dislike me because I am not completely like them. I am trying to do with my life something which few people try to do, and this influences my thinking and consequently my action.
What is it you're trying to do with your life?
Play the piano for people.
I'm not clear. How is it that playing the piano for people has eventually resulted in your being here in the hospital?
That's difficult to answer.